In 1872, the crew of the Mary Celeste vanished, leaving behind a perfectly intact ship drifting silently across the Atlantic. No signs of struggle, no distress call. No one was ever found. 150 years later, we're still asking, what really happened on that ghost ship? A ship with a troubled past. Long before it became a ghost ship, the Mary Celeste was launched under a different name. Built in 1861 in Spencer's Island, Nova Scotia, the 282-ton brigantine was christened the Amazon. Designed for transatlantic trade, the vessel's early years were plagued by misfortune. The Amazon's first captain fell gravely ill on the maiden voyage and died shortly thereafter. Over the next few years, the ship suffered a series of mishaps, including collisions and severe storm damage. One particularly damaging incident occurred in October 1867 when the vessel ran aground in Cow Bay off Cape Breton Island. Deemed a loss, the wrecked ship was salvaged and eventually sold. An American businessman named Richard W. Haynes purchased the damaged vessel in 1868, repaired it extensively, and renamed it the Mary Celeste. Structural modifications included enlarging the ship and increasing its tonnage, making her more suitable for long voyages. Ownership eventually passed to a group of investors that included Captain Benjamin Spooner Briggs, a devout Christian and highly respected mariner with a spotless reputation. The final voyage begins. On November 7, 1872, the Mary Celeste departed New York Harbor bound for Genoa, Italy, carrying a cargo of over 1,700 barrels of denatured alcohol. Aboard were 10 souls: Captain Briggs, his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, and a crew of 7 experienced sailors. The early days of the voyage were rough. Records show that the Mary Celeste encountered turbulent weather, and the ship battled gales across the North Atlantic. The last entry in the ship's log was dated November 25, 1872. At that point, the vessel was just a few miles from the Azores archipelago. 10 days later, on December 5th, the British brig Dei Gratia sighted a drifting vessel about 400 nautical miles east of the Azores. To the astonishment of the Dei Gratia's captain and crew, the ship was deserted. Discovery of the ghost ship. A boarding party from the Dei Gratia rowed over to the derelict Mary Celeste. What they found only deepened the mystery. There was no sign of life aboard. The sails were partially set and in poor condition, and the wheel was unattended. The ship's single lifeboat was missing, suggesting the crew had abandoned ship. But why? Below deck, the scene was strangely mundane. The cargo was largely intact, the galley stocked with provisions, and the crew's personal effects were undisturbed. There was water in the bilge, about 3 feet, but not an unusual amount for a vessel of its kind. It certainly wasn't enough to sink the ship. In the captain's cabin, charts and a logbook lay where they had last been used. One important clue was discovered on deck. The sounding rod, a tool used to measure water levels in the hold, had been left out, as if recently used. Nearby, one of the pumps was disassembled and non-functional. Realizing the ship was still seaworthy, the Dei Gratia crew sailed it to Gibraltar to collect salvage rights. There, a British tribunal opened an inquiry, hoping to uncover what happened to the Mary Celeste's vanished crew. The Gibraltar investigation. In Gibraltar, British authorities conducted a thorough investigation into the derelict ship. They were particularly suspicious of the Dei Gratia crew, suspecting potential foul play. However, there was no evidence of violence or wrongdoing, no signs of bloodshed, struggle, or theft. The alcohol cargo was intact, and all valuable items remained on board. Eventually, the tribunal concluded there was no reason to suspect criminal activity, and salvage payments were awarded, though the crew of the Dei Gratia received only a fraction of the expected compensation, possibly due to lingering doubts and suspicions. Yet the core question remained unanswered. What could have caused Captain Briggs, his family, and his crew to abandon a perfectly operable ship in the middle of the ocean? Theories and speculations. Over the decades, numerous theories have attempted to explain the mysterious abandonment of the Mary Celeste, ranging from plausible maritime hazards to imaginative speculation. Early suggestions of mutiny or foul play were undermined by the lack of evidence for violence and the crew's strong reputations, while the idea of a pirate attack was dismissed due to the untouched cargo and valuables. A chemical explosion from alcohol vapors was also proposed, but lacked any signs of burning or structural damage. Natural phenomena like rogue waves or waterspouts were considered, but couldn't explain the ship's calm and orderly condition upon discovery. The most convincing explanation combines mechanical failure with human error. A malfunctioning pump and a misread sounding rod may have led Captain Briggs to wrongly believe the ship was sinking during rough weather. Fearing for the lives of his wife, daughter, and crew, he may have ordered an evacuation into the lifeboat with the intent to return, only for tragedy to strike at sea, preventing their safe return. This theory aligns with the evidence found and avoids relying on far-fetched scenarios. The afterlife of the Mary Celeste. Despite its grim reputation, the Mary Celeste did not meet its end in 1872. Instead, she was refurbished and put back into commercial service. Over the following decade, she passed through several owners, none of whom seemed to shake the stigma of bad luck that clung to the vessel. In 1885, the Mary Celeste met her final demise in an ignoble fashion. Under the command of Captain G.C. Parker, the ship was intentionally run aground on a coral reef off the coast of Haiti. Parker had taken out a hefty insurance policy and intended to claim the vessel as a loss. Unfortunately for him, the scheme failed. The ship didn't sink as planned, and the authorities soon uncovered the fraud. Though Parker escaped serious punishment, the Mary Celeste was declared a total loss. The once proud ship was left to rot on the reef, a fittingly eerie end for a vessel already steeped in mystery. A legacy of legend and lore. What truly immortalized the Mary Celeste in public consciousness was not just the mystery, but its reinterpretation through art and storytelling. In 1884, a young Arthur Conan Doyle, decades before he created Sherlock Holmes, published a short story titled J. Habakkuk Jeffson's Statement, loosely inspired by the Mary Celeste tale. In his fictionalized version, the ship was renamed the Marie Celeste, and the story introduced themes of revenge, race, and the supernatural. Though pure invention, Doyle's narrative captivated readers and greatly amplified public interest in the real-life mystery. The Mary Celeste has since inspired countless books, films, and documentaries. From the 1935 film The Mystery of the Mary Celeste, starring Bela Lugosi, to the 2000 TV drama Haunting of the Mary Celeste, the story has been told and retold in many forms. Documentaries like The True Story of the Mary Celeste, 2007, have sought to examine the facts while preserving the allure of the unknown. In fiction, the ship often serves as a metaphor for human uncertainty, fear of the sea, and the limits of knowledge. The allure of the unknown. The tale of the Mary Celeste endures not because it has been solved, but because it hasn't. The enduring mystery taps into a primal human fear, to vanish without a trace, to disappear into the vast, unforgiving ocean, never to be seen again. With no definitive evidence and no survivors to explain what truly happened, the Mary Celeste will likely remain one of the greatest maritime enigmas of all time. And perhaps that's as it should be. In an age where so many secrets are quickly unraveled, the silent drift of the Mary Celeste reminds us that the world still holds a few puzzles we cannot quite piece together. And that, my friends, is the chilling mystery of the Mary Celeste. What do you think happened aboard that doomed vessel? Was it panic, a tragic mistake, or something even stranger? If you enjoyed diving into this maritime mystery, don't forget to hit that like and make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious, stay adventurous, and keep exploring the unexplained.